He almost have half a decade of experience in the field of data science. He's also a PhD student at a university in Washington, D.C. So at this time, without further ado, and also I would like to request every one of you to write down the name, a city name along with your name, so that it is very helpful for us, so we can understand, so our tech team can understand where everybody is joining from. So at this time, without further ado, I'd like to welcome Isordai. Welcome, Isordai.
Thank you, Manju, and thank you for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Namaste, everyone. Again, my name is Ishwar. So I'll be talking about a few things around data science today, what data science is, what are the skill sets that's required. If you are looking into getting into data science, what you are
recording in
supposed to
progress.
Do. And if you're already into the data science field, then what can you do to excel your career further? I'll talk about the skill sets that's required, and what the job prospects looks like, and what are the few things that you can do to get into data science if you are trying to getting into it. And when I talk about these things, feel free to stop me if you have any questions, or we can wait until, if you can wait until the last, where we'll be doing Q&A as well. But you don't need to wait until the end if you have any questions. So let's start with what data science is. So before we discuss about what data science is, let's talk about what science is. So basically, science is nothing but there is a thesis or a hypothesis, and people go and do research on those thesis and hypotheses and come up with the result to prove or disprove that hypothesis. So what data science means is you just do the same thing what you do in science, but your evidences, your arguments are supported by data. So if you have a hypothesis that you want to test, or theory that you have, and you want to prove or disprove that hypothesis, that's where data science comes into picture. And if you try to relate that to business applications, let's say there is a company X, and they have been operating in, let's say, 6 different countries, and they want to start a new business in 7th country. And the hypothesis is that the business has been doing well in 6 different countries, and it will do well in 7th country as well. But let's say that after a couple of months, the business didn't do well in that 7th country. So that's when data science can help to answer what went wrong. Again, the hypothesis was that the company would be doing good on the 7th country, but something went wrong. And depending on the data collection that company did, data science comes into the picture, and they do the analysis. What's the difference? What went wrong? What went right to the other 6 countries, and then what went wrong with the 7th country? So again, to define data science, it's nothing more than a science that is supported by data. There's few misconceptions around data science. Data science is not machine learning 100%. People, I have seen that people confuses machine learning with data science, but machine learning is just one application of data science. Data science have different branches. Exploratory analysis. If people wants to go and find and extract some information from the data, that's exploratory analysis. And machine learning is more of a predictive analysis, where we use machine learning models to predict something in future. Another thing people usually get confused is what's the difference between data science and software engineering. I know that data science is kind of new, and it is still maturing, but everybody understands what data the software engineering is. So the key difference is, in software engineering, you have input. You build a system, and then you get the output. So as a software engineer, you build a system to get the input, and you produce the desired output. Versus in the data science, what you do is you have data. So you have data, historical data, right? The company has collected, or whatever form of data it is. You have input, you have output, what happened in past, and machine learning learns what the system owes. So with the input and output, the machine learning models learns the systems, and then for any future inputs that's coming in future, we can apply that systems to predict the output. So that's where the key difference between software engineering and data and machine learning is. In software engineering, the key focus is to build the system, and in the machine learning, the key focus is to understand the system. So that's the general overview of what data science is. I want to stop here if anyone has questions what data science is. If not, let's talk about some of the skills that's necessary. So I'll start with there are two skill sets that's required to get into data science. One is soft skills and another one is hard skill. Let's first talk about the hard skills. As you probably know, there are so many different programming languages where we can do data science on. So one of the primary or key languages that a lot of analysis or machine learning is built on is Python. If you are coming from the statistical background, there is R. There are other programming languages as well. But in industries, Python is the primary language that we use for machine learning and data science. One thing I would recommend for someone who is trying to get into data science is to focus only on one. Otherwise, it will be too overwhelming. I mean, if you have mastered one of these skill set or one of the programming language and you want to get into and try learning other one, that's absolutely fine, and you should do that. But if you are just trying to get into and you see and go into different resources, browsing the websites and see that all these different job postings have requirement for both Python and R, you don't really need to do that, because at the end of the day, programming is just a way of doing things. So that's one of the skill set. Try to focus on one of these, whether it's Python, R, or any other programming language that you are interested in. But if you are trying to get into data science, then I definitely encourage to go with Python, because a lot of the job requirements are listing Python as the key resources. And as people have already started working in Python, that's where you will find companies is primarily Python as a primary resource for their data science application. Another one is SQL. If you are a data scientist, no matter whether you are a data scientist, data analyst, or data engineers, any job around data science, for any job around data science, SQL is the mandatory. Even before you learn Python, I would encourage to learn everyone SQL, because that's more than 60% of the jobs that are in the internet. Software engineering related job that requires SQL. So that's even more important. The third thing is any kind of visualization tools, whether it's Tableau, whether it's Power BI. If you have been playing with Excel, that could be one of the visualization tool, but it really doesn't matter. As I said earlier, the tool itself doesn't really matter. What it matters is what you can do with those tools. So those are the key things you need to learn before you try to get into data science, because for almost all jobs, these are mainly, for more than 90% of the jobs, these are the key skill sets that you need to have. And one thing I want all of you to know is that data science is not the only job that that you can apply for if you're trying to get into data science. A lot of the companies try to use data science as a jargon word, but there are so many different other titles, whether it's a data analyst, whether it's a data engineering, whether it's a business analyst who use data to answer any of the business related question. I encourage you guys to go and apply for those if you're trying to apply for these jobs. One thing that you need to look into is the job description. The title itself really doesn't matter. Again, if the job description is around playing with data, looking into the data and making recommendations, cleaning the data, and creating some kind of insights from that data, that's all data science. Again, data science doesn't have to do anything with machine learning. I mean, being a data analyst and doing exploratory analysis is still a data scientist. And some of you may find that's easier than mastering all these skill sets and then only trying to get into the jobs. I encourage, if you have any of these skill sets, whether it's about Python, whether it's about SQL or just Tableau, if you can find job, just get into it, because learning from job is nothing can beat learning from job. I mean, it's good to learn for the skills if you are a fresher and trying to get into data science, but the work experience beats all those things. So getting into no matter what kind of job it is, what kind of job title it is, first try to get into jobs. That's where you learn the best. So those are the hard skills. What are the soft skills that you need to know? Data science is very diverse, very diverse in terms of what it can do. In any companies, you need to talk with so many different people if you are building data science products. So again, I want to take an example of how software engineering works versus data science. Is a software engineering, definitely there are different stakeholders that you want to talk with, what are the requirements to build any software. But when you build a software and you hand it over, you are done. There is a task to do. But data science is not a task. It's a resource process. It's a recommendation process. And it's more of a cyclic process. There is a problem, you give a recommendation, then that problem may again come in the future. How do you ensure that that problem is not coming in? So for that reason, you need to understand business a lot more than what a software engineer does. And again, for data science, usually it does not end when the product's development is completed. And so let me talk a little bit about how the software engineering lifecycle differentiates from the data science lifecycle. Again, as I mentioned earlier, for software engineering, there is a requirement, there is something that you want to do, you want to build a product, you go ahead and build that product, you hand it over, and done. You are done with that. For data science, the first thing is understanding the data itself. There is no task for that. There is a data, but you need to extract information from that. Then it comes to a point where you will build any application, whether it's a machine learning application, whether you build a report, that's another kind of data product. But it doesn't stop there, right? If the product that you are building, that needs to be consumed by someone else. I mean, again, if it is a report, you need to explain, what that report means to your stakeholders. If you are building machine learning models, there are other applications where you need to integrate that applications. The machine learning model itself doesn't do anything. And then once you have these products, that you need to make sure that your solution is still relevant in futures. There might be different data coming in futures, and then the nature of the data might not be same as what you see today. And how do you ensure that those, even for the data that's coming in future, your product, your solution is still relevant? So to do that, you go back and check your, whether it's again report or a machine learning model, you go back and review that every once in a while. Depending on different solution, it might be weekly, monthly, quarterly. But you go back and revisit those and make sure that your application is still relevant to the problem that you're trying to solve. So having said that, the key soft skill for data science is communication skill. You've got to communicate. You've got to understand what the problem is. You've got to communicate what the solution is required. You've got to once you have the solution, you've got to communicate how your stakeholders, or how the people that you are trying to build this product is going to use this product. So the soft skill is key. Another one is resource mindset. Again, data science is science, right? After all, it's science. So you got to have that resource mindset. What I mean by resource mindset is you need to understand, you need to come up with a mindset of asking questions. What happens, if you do this? What happens if you don't do this? So that is very important, soft skill, coming up with the resource mindset. So it is very important to understand the overall picture, picture of the problem. You need to be able to communicate with different stakeholders. Soft skill is as important as the hard skill. But one thing for us to chat, is again, someone who is trying to get into data science, it is something that you can learn only when you are in the job, right? Unlike, you go and find Python programming scripts and learn from websites. You just can't do that, to learn communication skill, to learn business skill, right? Definitely you can talk with different people who have been working in this, area, and then get some insights. But, you can only learn enough when you find a job. That's another reason, I encourage you guys again to first find job, no matter what is the job title, or if anything is around data, I would jump into that. So those are the soft skills that's needed. I saw there is a question coming in. So Vijay Giri asked, what is machine learning? How is it related to data science or data? Why do we need the knowledge of Python or SQL? So let me start with, I'll start with in the reverse order. So Python and SQL, why do we need Python and SQL, right? So data science, after all, at the end is an application of software engineering, right? If you are trying to solve any problem using computer, you need to learn Python. I mean, any of the programming languages, and it doesn't necessarily need to be Python. If you have started learning any other programming languages, that will help to solve your problem in data science. But I recommended Python because this is something that has good libraries to support to do any analysis in data, and it's widely used in the industries. Why SQL? Again, in recent years there has been a lot of there is a huge source of unstructured data, but we still primarily in a lot of the business, the key data that you would end up analyzing is structured data. That's like, the structured data is nothing but what you have in Excel sheet, right? You have tables and columns, that's structured data. And to do that analysis, for a large set of data, you just can't do that analysis from Excel. And usually it's stored somewhere in a database systems. And SQL is a tool or a scripting languages that is used to analyze the data in the data warehouse system or the database system. That's the reason, you need to understand, you need to learn Python and SQL. How is it related to data science or data? As I said, again, SQL is used to analyze the data in the data warehousing system or database system. And again, data science, again, is the application. I mean, it's a science using the data. So if you are trying to answer any business problems using data, then, Python and SQL are the tools. What is machine learning? So machine learning is an application of data science. It's, you might have already, artificial intelligence. It's nothing but it's a what is machine? Machine is, our laptop, our computer. And what's learning? It learns something, it interprets something. So as I gave an example earlier, you have some data, right? And you know what the input is, and you know what the output is. What machine learning does, it understands what goes behind those input and output. So machine learning is a self-learning tool which learns from data, to be brief on that. So, and then the next question there is, I understand focusing on one tool at a time. As you said, you need to learn a few different tools. As a newbie, how do I know how much I need to know? Okay, yeah, I think the order I would say is go with the SQL first, because you will find a lot of job that requires SQL, and it's a lot easier to learn than anything else. And then I would say Python, because Python is multi-purpose programming language. If you are not even, you started, you get interested in data, and later on you are not interested, you want to jump into somewhere else, Python is still relevant. And then I would say visualization tool. That's something like, a lot, if you are trying to get into data science or data analysis, that's one of the major, major tools that's a lot of company uses. So the next question is, how important is domain knowledge to get a job? It's important, but I don't expect any, newcomer, especially if you're applying for first job, if I'm hiring someone, I don't expect you to have a domain knowledge, because that's something that you gain once you start working in this industry. If you are trying to get into a senior position, then definitely it's important, but it's not as important for the new, someone trying to get into job. Can we first find job and then learn in the job? I think that's a no-brainer. For every job that we're trying to get into, you need to have at least basic skills. If you're talking about mastering the skill sets, yes. But if you are, but if we're talking about just getting the first job and then learn, no. First thing is, you don't even get a job if you don't have the skill sets, because you at least need to have the basic skill set. And even if you get a job, you cannot do well, right? If you're thinking about a long-term career development, then basic skill set is mandatory. Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, with the little knowledge of SQL and Python, yes, definitely. Those are, as I said again, all these things might be, all these different skill sets might be overwhelming for different people. So that's why I encourage people to learn one skill at a time. Go and look the job requirements and see where is the gap, right? If you are looking into trying to get as a database developer, let's say, for simplicity, and you learn SQL and you started applying for jobs, then you see that SQL is good enough for that job, then go ahead and apply for that. But let's say you learn SQL and you are trying to apply for data analysis, maybe Python is another tool. So that's when you go and learn another tool. So the approach would be learn one skill or two skill which you are comfortable with, try to go and find job, you see the job description, what are the skill set requires, find out where the gap is in terms of the skills that you need to learn that skills. And for all these skill sets and all these tools, most of these tools are open source. So all you need to do is invest time. Do we need background in? Yes, for machine learning, yes. For everyday job, you don't really need to understand what goes behind the algorithm. But as you get into data science and try to solve problem, and sometimes the standard libraries that comes with Python or any other tools doesn't solve the problem. And if you want to tweak those things, then you definitely need to understand mathematics and probability theory and statistics. So again, if you are just starting to get into data science and trying to figure out what I need to learn first, I would put mathematics and statistics at the last. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not necessary. It's very important if you're trying to tweak any of the algorithms. But before you do that, I encourage you to learn other soft skills which is applicable to get entry-level jobs like data analysis, business analyst, or database developer. And once you master these, then definitely go for mathematics. Okay, I think that's the question that we have so far. So let's talk about, and I'll get back to other questions if you have any other questions. So let's talk about where to learn all these skills from, right? We talked about different skills, soft skills, hard skills, where to learn all these skills from. As I said, again, you can Google and you will find so many different resources for anything. For SQL, I'll put some of the links, for SQL, Python, and Tableau, or any visualization to learn after this presentation, and you can in the chat, and you can go ahead and look into that. But for SQL, there are so many great YouTube videos, and there is one channel which I'll put in the link, and you can go through that, which is really great. For data science and Python, there is Kaggle, there is Coursera, there is IBM's websites where they talk about the data science and machine learning in detail. But you don't, those are only a few to name. And if you just Google, there are so many different open source resources available for you to learn all these skills. Let's talk about the demand and supply of data science, how the job prospects looks like, right? So data science, I mean, people have been doing machine learning and data science for a long time, but there has been surge in the demand in last like 5 or 6 years. And the reason is that the world has generated so much of data, and there is so much to analyze data. Everything has been digitalized, and the digitalization means more data. So the only in future, the demand for data science is only going to go up. If you go and look into LinkedIn, there are maybe more than 1 million jobs available worldwide, and some of them are remote jobs. So with the pandemic, one of the advantages we got for someone working in the IT industry is that you can find remote jobs more now. If you are in Nepal, you can find jobs somewhere else. If you are in the US or in one part of the US, then you can definitely find jobs in other part of the US as well. So don't even worry about so many data science people are learning about data science. Is there going to be a future? Definitely. There are more jobs than data scientists, and it will continue to be so. Yeah, I think those are the things that I wanted to cover. If you guys have any other questions, yeah, feel free to drop in a chat or raise your hand. I will share some of the links in the chat, and you can go from there to learn other basics. And I'll also drop my LinkedIn profile if you have any questions. If don't hesitate to reach out to me. Yeah, so Abbas Gautam asked, will forecasting be covered as well? I'm not sure covered in which sense. If you mean whether forecasting is an application of data science, yes, that's a predictive modeling and that's where the machine learning is used. Yeah, for that, I will defer to Kiran asks, thanks for the information. What is the course plan? I'll refer that to Manzil.
Yeah, course plan, we'll be definitely talking after Isordai's session.
Yeah, so a few recommendation I have for someone who is just trying to get into data science. Spend some time, because it sounds like overwhelming. Like, again, if you focus on just learning one programming language, what's next? There's so many different things that you want to learn. But again, like I said, focus on learning one thing at a time. Data science is vast, right? The scope of data science is vast. We didn't even talk about what are the different aspects of machine learning, right? There's deep learning, there is neural net, there is computer vision. It is very vast, right? I want to make it simple for this session, but the data science itself is very vast, right? Data science, if you think as an industry, it's like a medical industry, and then inside medical industry, you have doctors, you have nurses, you have medical technicians. It's data science is like that, and then data scientist is one of the job, and data analyst is another job. So data science, and you definitely can be a doctor, you can be a nurse, and you can be a technician at the same time, right? So just focus on one thing. Start with a simple. Start with one tool. Be comfortable with that. Learn another skills. Try to find a job and see what the job requirements are, and find out where the gap in the skill is, and learn that skills. And then you keep doing that. It's an iterative process. And a lot of new technologies are coming. Every year or every 6 months. You just can't keep learning. I mean, you should keep learning, but you can't learn everything. I've been working in this industry for like 6 years now, and I don't know everything, and that's okay, right? Because no one can learn everything. So that's one thing. But you got to keep going, right? You got to make sure that you are learning every skill sets that's necessary for the job. And as I mentioned, I think the most important thing that worked out for me is finding the gap in the job, in the job description. I started with data analyst, then I worked a few years as a data engineer, and then I moved to data science. So my strategy was I would get into the data job. If I see, I would get into that, and then I would find. And next, what I want to do next, I figure that out. What are the job skills necessary for that? Find the gap and learn those skill sets. And again, you don't have to go to any schools or universities or pay for any of these things, because there are so many different tools available. Definitely, I encourage you to find a mentor, which I think this session or this program that Manzil is bringing in will help you to do that. Because finding a mentor, with a mentor, it's a lot. It will set a structure, right? If you're just trying to learn everything by yourself, then you might get lost, because it's again so vast. And finding a mentor or finding a structured program where you have a path to go from A to B, that will help you a lot. For someone who is already who has already started working at a data science and want to advance their career, focus on once you get a job of data science, then your focus should be on solving the problems, not on the skill sets. Because at the end of the day, if someone is hiring for you, then definitely the end goal for you to do is solve a problem. So domain knowledge, communication skills, business knowledge, those things are more important for someone who has already started working into the industry. Vijay asks, what's your advice to someone who wants to switch career without the downside of starting from the bottom? I think I kind of answered that question again. So if you have already started, let's say you have you are working as a software engineer and you want to transfer some of your skill set to data science, a lot of the skill sets are transferable, right? I mean, if you are a programmer in Java, learning Python, it's the same thing. I mean, it's just a different set of syntax, but your problem solving approach will still be same. If you are in any other fields, again, your domain knowledge, your experience in that industry is transferable, so that's helpful. So I mean, data science is different than data software engineering or some other closely related field, but it's not completely different either. Programming language, that's same. The way you solve your problem, the way how you build a product. That's I mean, it's in the core it's different, but overall it's not different. So I would say again, for that specific question, don't try to, let's say, if you are trying to, one thing, if you don't want to, when you switch your career, if you are in a senior position and if you want to be a data analyst or data scientist and you don't want to go as a junior, then definitely, learn those skill sets, find the gap. And a lot of the times it comes time, it's about mastering your interview skills as well. If you convince your, the interviewer that you have even though you don't have the data science background, but you have a problem solving skills, you have a programming skills, then, that definitely convinces the hiring managers to hire you. Could you please let us know the difference between data analyst, data science, and data analyst? Do they are okay? So let me answer that question. If I am answering that question in one sentence, they all are trying to solve business problem with the use of data. But to the core, data engineering is definitely a little bit different, right? Data engineering is their job, main responsibility is to collect the data, right? Whether it's from backend systems, whether it is from they are crawling the web and pulling the data. Data engineers' primary job is to find out the data, find out the data sources, pull that data into some kind of repository, whether it's like, if it is unstructured data, like, something like text files or something like that, some kind of drive, or if it is like structured data, then some form of database system. And then definitely it's just about pulling the data, cleaning those data, making sure that some of the business rules are applied. So data engineer's job is, if you think like a traditional, ETL developer, that's what data engineers do. Definitely, in recent years, there are so many different sources of data. The businesses are, have been complicated. The thing that they need to do is definitely a lot more than just, extract and load. But you can think that is like, finding the data source, pulling the data into a single repository and applying some transformation on that. Data analyst, it's more like, you have a data and you are answering specific questions. I gave an example earlier that, a company wants to start a business in 7th country, they failed, they want to know what the problem is. And that's where data analyst comes into picture. A lot of the skill set between data analyst and data science are overlap. But one thing that differentiates is usually is that data scientists focus more on modeling, machine learning models, and predictive modeling. You might find some some roles or some jobs where the title is data analyst, and then the job responsibility is lists that modeling, ML, machine learning modeling is one of the requirement. That could happen. That's why I'm saying just don't go by the title. And you might find some data science position where the job description says you will be doing a lot of exploratory analysis and finding a solution for a business problem. So the key difference is on mostly on whether you will be building machine learning models. And it's not just that, there are so many different other jobs as well. And as data science field is getting matured, there are other the job specific job description, and then the roles are being more concrete. There are other roles like ML engineer who focus solely on just discovering or building the machine learning models. There are MLOps who put these developed models into production, making sure that things runs smoothly. So there are so many different other roles as well. I mean, even if the job title says it's a business analyst, if the job description is something else, go for that. But yeah, to answer that question, the data engineers tries to focus on collecting the data and loading into a single repository. Data analyst tries to answer specific questions, and data scientists build machine learning models. But I mean, it's in company, you might not find all of these positions. Maybe data analyst and data science are combined into one group. You will find different depending on the company and what their priorities are. You will find a lot of the skill sets overlap between all three of these. All right, I think we are at the end of the questions. If no other questions, again, I'll drop some of the links that I promised earlier. If no further questions, I will refer you to Manjul. Manjul, to you.
Wow, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ishwar, for that wonderful session. I think you deserve a huge round of applause. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank you from my bottom of my heart. So now we'll be talking more. If there is any final question, then please feel free to chime in, or else we'll move further. So, this class that we are starting from next week, we have divided into 3 or 4 sections. So for first 4 weeks, we'll be learning Python, and then 2 weeks we'll be learning statistics. Then we'll be learning different machine learning models, and finally we'll be also doing some touch base on deep learning models. Machine learning is also, data science is also the field where we need mathematics and statistics, right? So here we have Keshav sir. He is the associate professor of University of Michigan, Dearborn. So I'd like to give this time to sir to give us a little bit of insights why learning mathematics and statistics is really important. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to ask sir. So at this time, Keshav sir, take it away.
Oh, thank you. Namaskar. Thank you and good evening. I think we need to speak in English, right? So I am, about myself, I am an associate professor of statistics in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics at the University of Michigan, Dearborn. I have been in this profession many years, more than 10 years, but I have been teaching at the University of Michigan since last 6 years. This is my 7th year. I'm working there since 2015. So primarily, I teach courses in core statistics like regression, survival and reliability modeling, multivariate statistics type of things. And recently, we are kind of, as the job market and prospective requirements for our graduates are changing. So we have started a program in data science, undergraduate and master's both. And we jointly have a program in undergraduate data science with the computer science department, as well as a master's degree program with the computer science department. The reason I'm bringing this is the skill sets. There are 3 pieces of information that we just heard from our earlier speaker about your soft skills and within the soft skills as well, or beyond the soft skills, let's say in academic skills, one is the programming part. I'm talking about beyond your communication skills and all those things. So we have this programming piece. We have this, we just touched a little bit about the mathematics and statistics and the domain. So basically the current, not only the data science field, but the current academia is standing generally in three legs these days. Whatever you like, pursue what your interests are, and just glitter or shine in them with your computer knowledge. And I have some bias speaking from myself. is I'm coming from the math background. So I think to understand how the machine learning models work and how you can change into your own way, then that's where linear algebra and or the probability theory and of course statistics will come into play. Basically, it certainly depends on what kind of jobs, what kind of job you are trying to apply, and if it is the beginning level job, and probably this mathematics part will be done by somebody else. But understanding how those models work and explaining the results in a context is where the mathematics or statistics will play a role. And in my daily work as well, that's what I tell this to my master's students, and especially those we have many people who are working around the Detroit area, and they take master's degree, and they have very good this industrial experience, and they come there to learn about this core statistics and mathematics behind it also together with the programming. So they say the job growth is more than 47% per year. And I look at this, I'm saying this in a more statistical point of view, and maybe in a core data sciencey way, it is more. The reason is the field is so big. Environmental scientist can be a data scientist, a biologist can be a data scientist, an engineer can be a data scientist. So you can be an engineer and a data scientist together. So you can be a computer programmer and a data scientist together. So so you can see yourself a data scientist, no matter, you can be a sociologist and a data scientist. And actually, Ann Arbor campus that I do research, they have sociologists and they do a very high level of data science. So it's all about, what I say is your desire to learn new things. And of course, the major challenge that I see myself, who has learned a little bit of programming very late in his life. So I started just touching computer keyboard after when I was 29. So you can see me, I'm an old man speaking here. So that means it's a process that you can learn and teach yourself. And the field is growing so fast that it's always for me, it's just a catching game. I'm just trying to catch up. So many people are doing in a multiple different ways. There are so many packages in Python, so many packages in R, and other Java, and all those core programming languages are also growing very fast. So it's all about a desire to learn something new. I will stop it here, and probably if somebody asks any question, then I will chime in. Otherwise, I'll stop myself here. Thank you, Manjulji, and back to you.
Sure. Thank you so much, sir. So one thing I'd like to say is, he said old, but he doesn't look old. He runs a marathon, and his fitness level is very high. I'm really inspired by his fitness. So yeah, guys, feel free to. And another thing that you said is, interpreting that results, explaining to higher executives what standard deviation means, what really the result of confidence intervals means. Explaining to them, it's really hard, and without understanding that statistics and mathematics part, it is really, really difficult to do that. Thank you so much, sir, for telling us that. So anyone who would like to ask question to Keshav sir, please feel free to chime in. So no, okay. So I think everybody heard about the packages, why Python is important from Isordai's because of the package. It's a open source, and a lot of people have built a lot of packages to do a lot of stuff like data analysis, data visualization, or machine learning models, right? So we'll be also learning about how we can build. Okay, I think there is any. I'll talk about that in a while. But we'll be also learning how we can build packages and modules in Python. So at this time, I'd like to invite Pourak. Pourak is more of a Android developer, but is very proficient in Python. So he's the one who will be teaching us about object-oriented programming and how to build modules and packages in Python. So this time I'd like to give him some time to talk. And if you guys have any questions about Python programming, you can feel free to chime in. Okay, but at this time, Pourak, you can take your time.
Thank you, Manzul-dai. Thank you for this time. Actually, currently I work as a mobile developer, but I have been working as a Python developer as well. So I do not come from actually a data science or data analytics background, but I have worked with Python and building backend systems with Python. So whenever you need some data you need to create data, you might need some kind of Python knowledge as well, not just for machine learning, because our data science, because you might need to scrape data from some places, create some automations where you collect the data from different places into your database, and later on use that data from the database for your data science and data analytics. So Python is really important in that regard as well, because Python is a really great scripting tool as well. In this course, we will learn about the basics of Python, as well as go through why we should be using object-oriented programs, object-oriented programming to structure our code better and to make reusable code so that we make less mistakes, right? And also, we will be learning about what are the modules in Python, how to create them, how to use modules, the modules we have written for one project into multiple projects. And also we will be learning about how to use Python package index. There are so many packages that people have already built that we can use in our programs. Currently, Python package index already has more than 355,000 projects there, and we can leverage the programming knowledge of other people's and what other people's have already built to make our life easier. And yeah, that is what we will be learning in this course as well. So if you have any questions about Python or object-oriented programming, please feel free to ask. We'll learn more about it on the course itself. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you so much, Pourak. Please, if you have any questions regarding Python or object-oriented programming or packages, modules, please feel free to chime in. Okay, so now, I think we also have somebody here. Suresh brother is also here. So he is the one who will be teaching us about artificial intelligence, or you can say, deep learning models. He's a PhD student in computer science in Michigan Technological University, right? I think I'm not wrong. Everybody says in shortcut, it's Michigan Tech in Upper Peninsula. Beautiful place to drive in summer, but definitely not a place to go in winter, right? So at this time, I would also like to give some time to Suresh brother and to talk about his experience as a software engineer and his experience as a data scientist.
Thank you, Manjul brother. Hello everyone, my name is Suresh Patel, and as he said, I am I'm doing PhD in computer science at Michigan Tech, and mostly I work with machine learning and deep learning models. So it is my great pleasure to connect with this team, and I think we'll learn together throughout this course. And basically, I am planning to give the basic about the machine learning models, deep learning models, how they work, and also we can do a small project on these things. How can we prepare the data? Then how can we how we can train the model and how we can use these models to for the prediction works or something like that. And if you have any question, you can ask me now, or otherwise we are going to do this in the end of this course. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, brother. Please feel free to chime in if you have any questions. But for now, I will go into our other part where I'll be talking about more of like now how we are going to do the course from next week. Before that, so everybody can see my screen, right? So let's play a game. I'd like to ask you, everyone, if you, let's say, if you all have a 3 million in cash, right? If you have 3 million in cash, somebody's trying to give you, versus 1 cent. But when somebody gives you 1 cent, there is a condition. It doubles every day for next 31 days. What you guys are going to choose? A 3 million on first day or a 1 cent first day? Let's see. Yeah, I think. Wow, we all have smart people here. 3, I have 0 percent too. Okay, I think the vote is still on. Take both. 3 million, okay. Okay. I think everybody is saying 1 cent. Yeah, 3 million. Yeah, okay. I will compound it for 30 years. Yeah. Yeah. No one knows, right? Yeah, that's what my wife said. So you take 3 million because she don't know if she'll die tomorrow. Right? So yeah. Yeah, the reason why I asked this question is, see, this course is definitely there is no we're not charging anything, right? So people, it's a data science, so we think, oh, it's a data science, and what happens is, once class proceeds, then then there will be no source, right? But I would like to highlight the power of a compound effect here. Next slide. Before joining the course, I would definitely request you, or at least think why you want to join this course, right? Why part is really important. Why you want to become or learn about data science, or why you want to go into that space, right? That is very important, because I think in a human life, why is like an engine, right? I'll give you an example. If I say, hey, can you jump from one building to the other building? I can give you $20,000. If I say that, you would not jump because a risk is there, right? But if the other building is on fire, and if there is your child, you would definitely try to jump, right? Because there is why associated there, right? So it's all about why, right? Why you want to do that. That's the engine. So I would highly recommend everyone to get that why before really start to take this course for next 12 weeks. It is definitely going to help and stay in the game for next 12 weeks to learn at least some new skills. Another thing that I would like to highlight here is how, right? How we can do is, we cannot be something overnight, right? There is a phrase, Rome was not built in a day, right? So, we got to learn every day, right? We got to learn every day Python, probably, right? SQL every day, 10, 30 minutes. So, 10, 30 minutes of every day for next 4 months, it is going to compound that, right? So 12 weeks, it's 90 days, right? So we have to learn every day for 90 days. Definitely, we're going to learn at least something in Python, at least something in SQL, at least something in machine learning, right? So 90 days before, you would not know anything about, not anything, at least it will be just to know about on Python or SQL. But after 90 days, if we are going to study that for every day, we'd be at least knowing something about data science, knowing something about Python, or knowing something about SQL, right? So I definitely suggest everyone, recommend everyone to think on these two things. And definitely, if we are going to think about these two things, then the power of compound effect, right? We would definitely know the data science skills in that within this 90 days period of time. So with that, I would like to highlight what we are going to really cover within the 90 days period of time. So for 4 weeks, I'll share with these resources with you in a moment of time. But here I have highlighted in what we are going to do in different weeks, right? So over the next 12 weeks, we are going to learn Python. We are going to talk about statistics part, and we are going to talk about machine learning and deep learning part, right? Every week, there will be some topics that I have mentioned here. You can go before joining the class. You can look what are all these things, and I'll be also adding different resources here as the week progresses, right? So I have created a data science bootcamp Google Drive. So you can see here week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, week 5, up to week 12. So each week I'll add here the resources. Before joining the class, you'd be able to access the Jupyter notebook with the code files, right? So you can download that and you can do the code alone. The best practice to learn coding is to code alone while I'm coding, right? So for that, I'll be adding the Jupyter notebook. Along with the Jupyter notebook, all the resources that we need for different weeks, I'll be adding here. You can access it, join the class, you can take the class. That will make a lot easier for the class. So over the next 12 weeks period of time, we'll be talking about Python, we'll be talking about statistics, and we'll be talking about different machine learning models. So I'll be sharing the link for this Google Drive on the chat. Copy link, chat, and you can access it. So this is how we are planning to do our 12 weeks of data science bootcamp program, which will be starting next Monday, 14th, from 9 to 11. I'm so sorry. For some reason, it's a Valentine's Day, but I hope I hope you guys will join. But and on top of that, we will be also providing recording for each session. With that, we are done with the orientation. I'll be more than happy to take. And one more thing, I think I missed it, is what are the things that we need, right? We definitely need something. So if you go into this Google Drive that I've sent, there is a Google Docs with detailed instruction for prerequisites. So today we need, before week 1, we definitely need Anaconda distribution to be downloaded. Here's the link where you can go and download. And this is the YouTube tutorial video for Windows, how you can download the Anaconda distribution and access Jupyter Notebook. And this video is for Mac. So you can go follow the instruction and you can download the Anaconda distribution, which will help us to access Jupyter Notebook there, which is the platform we use to code for Python. So with that, we are done with this session. If you have any questions, please feel free to chime in.
One thing that I forgot to mention earlier is, and Manjil brought this up, the why and how. If you are someone, who thinks you are going to give up, and, we might, because, it's data science, it's a lot of a skill set. And it's, I'm going to give you all a suggestion, and it might sound funny, but trust me, it works. So today, to your friends, your family, whoever are close to you, tell everyone that you are learning data science and you are learning it in 12 weeks, and tell them why. And you already know, how, because you have Manzil here. And once you do that, whenever thoughts come to your mind and you are about to give up, then think about the people that you share this with. And if you think about that, you will be embarrassed to give up. So if you are embarrassed to give up, then that you will not give up. So sharing that with everybody, that you are going to do it, and you are going to do it in 12 weeks, that will help you to motivate yourself and not to give up. Okay, Kiran asks me, can you please give some examples of your role from in the field and how we can develop this skill? Yeah, one of the examples that I gave earlier, right? So again, I'll take the same example. A company once, is doing good, and in six countries, they want to start a business in seventh one. They started the seventh, business in the seventh country. It failed after a couple of months. They want to find out why. That's one of the applications. Another applications, let's say a company is wants to predict how many, let's say it's a car company. They wants to predict how many car they are, how many car they are going to be selling in Nepal next year. And why do they want to do? I mean, what will they do, right? If they know they are going to sell 10,000 or 100,000 cars. If they know that, in 2023, if they are to sell 100,000 cars, then do some reverse engineering, right? It takes times to manufacture those cars. It takes time, maybe, to import those cars from somewhere else if it is not manufactured in Nepal. It takes time to open, sales centers if it is not already there. So doing all these predictions, these companies can plan. So if we are going to sell these many cars, we need these many resources. We need this much of time to, to manufacture these things. That way they can, plan their resources. They can plan ahead of time so that they will be able to, sell those promised 100,000 cars a year, or maybe in the next year. So those are the two examples.
Yes, I think thank you so much for your clarification. Anyone, any questions on data science on this course? Any question? I think everyone was able to access that Google Drive I sent you, right? Anyone who was not able to access? I think somebody asks the question whether or not we'll be doing some projects. We will be doing projects, and Suresh brother will be helping us to do the projects as well. So by the end of the course, we will be doing projects. So you will have the projects in hand by the end of this course. And it's all about, your initiative. We'll be just giving the use cases. We are there to help on, different things about the projects, but you can only drive yourself to do the project, right? But we will definitely do the projects. Yeah, what is the class format? So can you clarify that question? What you exactly mean by the format? Kiran brother? Yeah, it's going to be a live session. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be a live session. I'm not sure where you are joining from, but it will be starting from next Monday, every Monday from 9 to 11 p.m. EST. Nepali time, it's 7:45 a.m. till 9:15 the other day, which is Tuesday in Nepal. And the session, each session will be recorded. We will send you, we'll upload on the YouTube, and we'll be sending you the recorded link. So I think there are a few brothers here who have joined our previous Foundation of Data Science program, which we did on October, November, December last year. For first few weeks, it's going to be the same content, but after that, it's definitely going to kick it off, and it's going to be a different content. So last class will definitely going to be helpful for at least 2-3 weeks, but after that, the content is going to be very different. So if you don't have anything, we still have time left. So if anyone would like to, take this time and give their comments or feedback or thoughts, how this session was helpful to you, or anything, how you're planning to take the course, which would be at least motivating to others or inspiring to others. If anybody can speak something, please feel free to chime in.
Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, Sabezan. Like, you guys are doing a great job. Right? Whatever we're doing here. I have a question. So I have a friend who's interested, but she does not have any Python background. So does one need to have like some sort of programming background in the past, or can they start fresh?
I think I would definitely say yes, because I was not from a programming background. I did my bachelor's in pharmacy, so I did not know anything about programming. So, it's all about us, how we are going to learn and how we are going to put our effort. It's all about how much effort we can put. Python, I also tried to learn other programming languages. Python is by far one of the easiest programming languages for me. I'm not sure about other, but for me, trying to learn Java, trying to learn SAS, trying to learn R, even R, I would say R, Python, I found is the most easiest. I would always recommend someone to start from a very basic, like courses on DataCamp. DataCamp is one of the best to start for any starter or beginner level, because they have put the content in a way that people can comprehend or understand. And also taking courses on Udemy, right? I would, Biswas brother, I will send you a couple of courses in Udemy. That is very so the course is from basic to intermediate to advanced level. It's also one of the best, and it was very helpful to me. But definitely, it does not depend on learning, does not depend on, at least Python learning does not depend on our past education or previous experience. From my experience, I can say that. But Isardai, Hisab sir, any other Paura, feel free to chime in and share your experience.
Yeah, I can, that absolutely makes sense. It really doesn't matter, whether you have a background or not. You can definitely come into the program and learn. But I mean, definitely, if you are someone who is just starting, you probably have to put a little bit extra effort, to catch up with someone else. But I think learning Python was definitely one of the easiest learning experience for me as well in terms of learning programming languages. So it's not definitely a difficult programming language to learn. But I think what Manjil said makes most sense. It's not about where we come from or whether we have a background or not. It's more about how much of effort we are ready to put in, because not everyone's learning experience will be same. People who come from different background, and then the learning speed will be different. And I also agree with what Manjil said in terms of learning from Udemy. That's the best resource I go by. I mean, if I'm learning any new skills, the first thing I do is go to Udemy. So there are so many great resources in Udemy as well.
I can share something about that. So certainly coming from different backgrounds, and not from different means not from programming background, it sounds like it's an uphill battle. And but actually there is an advantage of being fresh and learning new thing. And if you are from not programming background, certainly you have done something if you are interested to learn programming. Let's say you are from social science background, which is a little bit far from the core programming. But that idea, the domain, that will be, you can enrich the programming with your background by itself, as long as you can hit a little bit of notes at the beginning, which is there will be a learning curve, as Ishwarji and Manjulji all said. But in terms of the programming, I do not have a very rich programming experience, but I have done some work in C++, Java, and R. I mostly work in R. In academia, mostly we teach in R. But my computer science colleagues, even in the university, they do in Python. So our collaborators, we work hand in hand in Python and R. But in terms of the learning smoothness, I think Python is very, very smooth for the beginners. R is a little bit, the learning curve is steeper in R compared to Python. And I personally, it was hard for me to learn C++ and JavaScript. I could not do very good on those programs. Most of the things it was not much needed to me in that sense. So, working with the web and all those things was not necessary for me. So what it is required, if it is a requirement, and you have a desire to learn, and your work requires that, whichever is the reason somebody is joining, I think Python is a good way to go. And a person not coming from the computer science background, as long as there is a desire and they use resources like a Datacamp or Udemy, or there are many resources even in the YouTube, I think it should be fine.
Yes, thank you, Sabida.
Yeah, sure, Precious, brother. I think Savin has asked regarding deep learning algorithms, are we be studying only ANN? So Savin, I think, so we'll be only talking about the basic of deep learning, and ANN is the basic, but definitely learning ANN will give us a lot of idea and understanding to learn on CNN and RNN and other deep learning models. But for now, within the scope of the course, we only have ANN. But ANN is definitely, the concept of ANN is definitely going to help us on understanding CNN, RNN, and other deep learning models. I hope I answered your question, Sabin. So okay. No, if you have Anaconda and if you are able to access Jupyter Notebook, that's more than enough for week one. Models we study here are specific to any industry, I think. So yes, it's specific. I mean, you can use in any of the use cases within the boundary of machine learning and deep learning.
Hey, Manju.
Yes.
Can you hear me? This is Thomas.
Oh, yeah. Okay, sure.
I'm an accidental tourist. So is there an output for these classes? It's like a certification. You can achieve, or what's the outcome will be, or it's just a boot camp?
Yeah, it's just a boot camp. We are not like a certified institution to provide a certification. It's just a bunch of youth group trying to come together and organize a meetups or boot camps like this. So the whole idea is to there may be people who wants to learn, and there may be people who wants to share the knowledge, right? So
Right.
it's just a platform where we are intersecting these two learners and somebody who wants to learn. So 12 weeks, people are definitely going to learn something, but in terms of certification, we are not providing one, or we are not able to provide one at this point of time. So.
Right, but I'm very excited, to learn some good statistics. Going back to statistics and applying it in my job and things like that. Because I was getting a little rusty. Was not using anything lately. I'm a certified Six Sigma black belt, and then I got into quality, and I wasn't using it. So I think I should be able to sharpen my saw a little bit.
Yes.
The professor was saying about statistics, and you were talking about standard deviation and regression and
Right.
analysis and Monte Carlo and all that stuff. I'm excited.
Yeah.
Thank you
sure.
very much.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. For people out here, if you saw Thomas Abraham on the screen, he's more of in quality engineering. He's also one of the board member of American Quality Society. So we'd like to thank you so much for joining. So
No,
I
thank
think,
you.
yeah. So I think there was some, I think Jayesh, we are going to learn all the models that you would be able to utilize in any domain within the range or the scope of machine learning use case. Just quick tip for some additional knowledge in addition to this bootcamp. There is a really good for, okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I think the course that Iswardai Iswar Vusal here, he's talking about, there is a course by Andrew Ng. He is one of my favorite. I started by taking his course. So I'll give the difference between his course and the other course. So his course, he is also more focused on the mathematical part. So he'll be also teaching us about linear algebra, calculus, derivatives, and things like that. So his course, along with Jan LeCun, it's really good. If you search deeplearning.ai, they have, so it's associated with Andrew Ng, and he has a lot of machine learning related course here. And you can also subscribe their YouTube channel, deeplearning.ai. If you type deep learning AI in YouTube, they have